everyone, it's Hayes, and in today's video, as you can see by the title, we are finally going to be reading the show Bible. So one of my moderators, Ahmed, a lot of you will know him if you're in my Discord server, and he also does the majority of the memes you see on the community posts. Some other people submit them sometimes, and sometimes I make them, but I'd say like 90% of them are made by Ahmed. He's one of my really good friends. He put together this little PowerPoint for me to look through about the show Bible and some of the things he thinks are like the most interesting, instead of me just sat here for a video just going through the document itself. He's gone through it, thank you very much Ahmed, he's gone through it. So this is going to be like my first reaction to the show Bible. So I have seen other show Bibles for different TV shows before, never a Miraculous show Bible though, and I just hope that no one thinks that this video is me like condoning the leaks. If you've been like subscribed to me for all of season 5, you will know just how against the leaks I have been. Very anti-leak, and whilst I think stuff like the Bible, the storyboards, the scripts and stuff like that are really cool, I only find them cool after the fact, not during like the season before that episode or whatever has aired. Like you'll have seen in some of my post season 5 content, I've used some storyboards, I've used some scripts, and now we're looking at the show Bible. I am still very much anti-leak. It ruins the experience of the show for so many people, and to me it just kind of ruins all the hard work that goes into the show, from the writers, the animators, storyboarders, voice actors, music, whatever. It just ruins all of the effort they put in. I am still very much anti-leak. Maybe you're not, but I am. So we are finally going to be reading the show Bible today. So Ahmed has put together this PowerPoint for me to look through, full of like little comments. He's cropped certain bits, so we're not going to be reading the full Bible, just what he thinks is the most interesting. However, it is 100 slides. 100 slides. So I definitely don't think I'm going to get through all of this in one part, purely because that would be a very, very long video. Second of all, I feel like I'm going to do a lot of talking in this video, and I don't think my voice is going to physically last for the full 100 slides, so we'll see how far we get. My aim is to get to slide 50, but I haven't actually looked through this, so I don't know how much I'm going to say. We might not get that far. We'll see what happens. I'll just, you know, keep a watch on the timer, see how long this video has gone on for, and I'll decide then. So besties, I hope, especially if you haven't seen the show Bible, this is something fun we can do together. And now we are finally reading the Bible. Oh, okay, let's start. So first things first, here's the first page of the show Bible, just because. Read it, stare at it, do whatever you want. When you're ready, move to the next slide to start. I love that it says confidential. Great. Now, already from the first page, there are a few things that need to be made clear. If I understand the meaning of the true Bible correctly, everything from the decisions taken with the story, the characters, etc. were asterisk planning alone. Yeah, that would be largely correct. So if you don't know what a show Bible is, as the name kind of suggests, like the word Bible, obviously it's like the Christian religious text, but the Bible more largely just means if you want to join a religion, any religion, the religious text, whether it's the Christian Bible, whether it's the Torah, whether it's the Quran, whatever the name of the religious text is, pretty much everything you need to know to be a part of that religion is in that book. As long as you have that book, you have pretty much everything you need to know about that religion. Of course, that is a very blanket statement, and there are other resources and you can talk to other people, but it's basically the same with the show Bible, is that if you were brought on suddenly to write an episode of Miraculous, you would be given a copy of the show Bible, and it would basically give you all of the information you need to be able to write, theoretically, a good episode of Miraculous. That is assuming you're a good writer, and the show Bible is also decent, basically. So it should have things like plot lines, character profiles, relationship development, how like you want the characters to develop. Although most show Bibles, whilst they have similarities, they also do have differences between them. So if someone ever asks you to write a show Bible for them, just double check what they're actually looking for, because like to me what a show Bible means might mean a bit different to someone else. So just double check if anyone ever asks you to write one. But yeah, it does seem that Thomas wrote this on his own. However, that doesn't mean he didn't have input from other people, but he might have been like the main authors. So as Ahmed says on the screen, this most likely means that the other writers were only involved in the writing of the scripts, but not the Bible itself, which is possibly correct. They might have had some input and given like ideas here and there, but I would say largely yes, that's correct. Thomas wrote all this itself. So everything we'll see here is Asterix's vision of what Miraculous is, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I think he's a good director and some of his ideas are great, but like especially with this season, like I thought season 4 was solid, but some of the ideas this season I just don't feel like they've been fully fleshed out, but that's for a different video. So it's also worth noting that this leaked show Bible is certainly not the latest season 5 show Bible. Oh, so it was the updated of season 5 from November. When did the show Bible get leaked? It's much later than that. I guess it was just the most updated one. It says here that the Bible was last updated on January the 9th, 2021, which was a little after the version 2 locked script for recreation was complete. Yet despite this, we'll see that for whatever reason, they left some interesting info unchanged, unupdated. Oh, okay, I see. So there's actually quite a lot left unupdated. I guess that's just the thing with it. Miraculous changes all the time, plus as well, it must be quite frustrating for the writers, mainly Thomas with the show Bible, because it kind of plots the general arcs of the show, getting the show extended and then extended and extended all the time. I don't know how much warning he's given, but he has to keep tweaking the show, which does kind of alter the structure and the pacing of the show, which does kind of explain why it's so janky sometimes, basically. So that often happens too. So here's a second page as well. I only put it here because of the artwork. The artwork is really, I love that artwork. I still really miss the PV animation stuff, it was cool. The highest quality you could fetch. It's definitely old, possibly dating back to the PV era, as Cat Noir's hair looks more like the old one. Oh, and Ladybug's hair has red dye tips. Oh my god, that's so cute. Now before we get into any real revelations, I'd like to deal with 2 misconceptions first. The first being Marinette's age. She is 13 at the beginning of season 1 and turns 14 in Befana. I know. I already knew that, but some people for whatever reason thought she was 15, even thought she was older, 16. I mean, I do believe when Miraculous was first pitched it was meant to be a show for like teenagers rather than 8 to 10-year-olds, but I can't remember who's, I think it might have been TF1 or Disney. They were like, I don't think they'd be interested in it, so they made it for younger. So I definitely think if this was meant for teenagers she might have been a bit older, but since it was going to be for children, not that teenagers aren't children, but like children, they made her a little younger. Yeah, she's 14 at the minute. I thought everybody knew that. Does no one watch the show? God. The second clarification is about Ladybug's lucky charms. In case someone out there thought she gets the solution as part of her power or something. Her power doesn't give a solution, only through personal reflection can she figure it out. Yeah, that's like the idea of the flashing dot images. The lucky charm doesn't actually tell her what to do. It just shows us her thought process with the little ladybug coloured things, basically. So, and now here's the summary. So yeah, okay, it's like the contents page. So we have the heroes and their relationship, the big baddies, so Gabriel Babes, Akumas, Natalie, Senti Monsters, Shadow Daddy, Monarch Daddy, special Akumatized people, Lila. Then I have Alia, Chloe and others, I'm sorry Nino, the Kwamis, family, classmates, teaching staff, minor characters, background, writing of an episode, transformation glossary, and episode summaries. And Ahmed also said if there's something that I feel will be a spoiler for season 6, it won't be included. So for people in the comments who've read the entirety of the show Bible, please be careful what you discuss, stick with only what's in here if you are unsure. That's a key thing. I do believe there are a couple of things about season 6 in the show Bible, only tiny little things here and there, but Ahmed has not included these in this PowerPoint. And then he says, am I the only one who finds it odd that Chloe Bourgeois is in the secondary heroes category? Yeah, I guess like she's more of a big baddie in, well, not so much season 4, she doesn't do much in season 4 really, but season 5 for sure. Yeah, missing Nino. So first up is Marinette, of course. He put 3 pages about Marinette. If you want to, go ahead and read them, if not, then skip yourself. Skip the slide to skip the time. Yeah, I mean, I think I know everything there is to know about that. Like Marinette, she's just slightly clumsy. I do wish they do more about her with fashion. in my opinion. So while everything in the Marinette section remains the same as seen in the show, there are 3 points that I mentioned here that barely have any significance in the show itself. I find it odd that, even if little, they were given attention at the show Bible when they didn't end up being in the show or on screen. 2 of these things I wish I got to see more of, but they're more about characterization than plot, so they're not significant. The one in the middle, from the way it was described, felt like it was going to be more significant to Marinette's character as a whole. So one of them is she loves learning how to make bread with her grandfather Roland or macarons with her dad Tom. Does she really? I've never got that impression. I got the impression she hated like working in the bakery. Like, she'll help out if she has to, but in actually baking, I didn't actually think she liked it, in my opinion. Then with Alia's help, Marinette creates a blog to feature her designs. Yeah, I did forget that was a thing in Reflect All, I will be honest. It's never been mentioned before. Like, this show, like I said, it has great ideas but then lacks follow through. Like the class rep stuff in Revelation and Confrontation would have been so much more impactful if they'd mentioned it just once or twice here and there of some of the students coming to Marinette with an issue. And it doesn't get brought up. Like, it could have easily been brought up, for example, in Guilt Trip, one of my favourite episodes with Rose, but it doesn't. And then, but none of the other girls know what might happen to Marinette. Chance upon one fine day, in the classroom, Marinette saw Adrian writing some words down on a piece of paper, then he screwed it up and tossed it in a bin. Is that in Dark Cupid? A girl I see every day. Marinette realises he must be talking about one of the girls in the class. Could it be her? Obviously it's about Ladybug. Meanwhile, hoping to one day elucidate the mystery, Marinette has framed the poem and hung it on a wall. A museum exhibit. Every time she reads it, it triggers her imagination. She dreams of the day he'll love her too and their future together. Yeah, it does seem like the poem from Dark Cupid is going to play a bigger role. Although that is a bit creepy. To frame it. To keep it, okay, fair enough. To frame it, calm down. Like, alright, Marinette. And here's a bit of trivia about Marinette. Everything on her, clothes and accessories, are items of her own making. I feel like I already knew that. I don't know why I knew that. But yeah, she designed everything. That explains the outdated taste in fashion. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Marinette's fashion sense. Her dress for like the end of school year party was really cool in Representation and Revolution. And I love her pink jeans. Not so sure about the rest of the outfit. I really hope, from what I remember them saying about season 6, is that they're going to have some updated character designs. I desperately hope that means new outfits for at least Adrian and Marinette. I know it's going to take a while and be kind of expensive, but I'm like, please, please. They're getting older. It's kind of hard to believe she wants to be a fashion designer when she wears that. Also, she was born in France, so she definitely feels Parisian, but uses chopsticks when eating spaghetti or noodles. I mean, to be fair, not that I'm half Chinese, but me too, so okay. On to the Ladybug section, starting with a little bit of spice to make everyone furious. I present to you, only Ladybug is able to capture the body's Akuma, Cat Noir cannot. This is what makes her the leader, the unique and indispensable one of the two. Tom is calling Cat Noir dispensable. Ouch. I mean, I do kind of fundamentally disagree with the statement in the Bible, because in Cat Blank he destroys the Akuma before he can get to Marinette with a cataclysm, and I guess he could do that from now on for the rest of time since he now has infinite Akumas after Revolution. So no, he doesn't like capture it and purify it, but he can destroy it. So not quite, and I don't particularly feel like that makes him indispensable, because like I said, he can destroy it. Like, they could just do what they did in Representation, capture it in a jar, which Zoe just seemed to have, and he could recharge and come back later before the unlimited cataclysms. So whilst I see what they're saying, also at the same time, no. Sorry. On a similar note, it seems that when it comes to their weapons, Ladybug also has a bit of an advantage, albeit a small one I didn't know existed. So her string stretches endlessly, but Cat Noir's baton, each segment is about 8 inches long. I feel like I've seen it much longer than that in the show. Like, for example, in something like Crocodile. It's definitely longer in Crocodile when he launches Ladybug and Purple Tigress up into the sky. That is much longer in my opinion. But enough beating around the bush, here's a little something you probably didn't know. Then Marinette switches to, as illustrated by a black spotted red costume, covering her body from top to toe. And last but not least, she gains a mask to prevent her from being identified. Ow! Seems like the quantum masking is linked to the superhero mask. Well, yeah, that's what I thought. So sorry about your swan superhero design, Hayes, but you'll simply have to put a mask on. No. You can't make me. Okay, Aeon doesn't wear a mask. Arguably her whole body is covered, but Aeon doesn't wear one and no one knows it's her. So, no. Jokes aside though, that was probably retcon. Yeah, because we clearly say Argos doesn't have a mask and also Mayura, so shush, Ahmed. But it's completely fair, this doesn't confirm whether or not the mask is the cause of the quantum masking, since the skin and hair change colour on its own. Yeah, I guess it doesn't. I don't know, to be honest, I feel like the quantum masking is like a little bit of a added extra on, little bit of BS they want us to believe, because Ladybug and Cat Noir look almost exactly like Marinette and Adrien, and they should be really, really easily identified. You know what I mean? So they're kind of like, oh, they physically can't tell, because definitely as the show has gone on, they've got a much better hero designs, to the point I'd say like something like Rooster Bold, I wouldn't have really said that looks like Mark. If I saw Mark and then I saw Rooster Bold 10 minutes later, I wouldn't have said necessarily they were the same person. So I think it's just due to the design, everyone's a bit like, they should be able to tell, and they're like, oh no, because quantum masking is a thing. Yes. Great. A little detail I won't tell clearly in the show about the 5 minutes time limit. As you grow older, you get better control over this time lock and can extend the deadline or remove it entirely. Oh, this can explain how Ladybug had the time to paint all those stadium scenes in perfection. Although it would have been better if they stated it in the show. Yeah, some of the Lucky Charms I'm just like, no, you wouldn't have been able to. Like, what does Cat Noir do in, is it Psychomedian? He paints like a Lucky Charm or whatever, and I'm like, with nail polish as well. Like, you wouldn't have been able to. No way. I'm not sure if you've already been told the residue thing or not, so pardon me if this is anything new. So about the magical charms. In Mr. Pigeon 72, Ladybug finds she can create magical charms that protect people. The ritual hasn't changed, nor have the catchphrases, except now when the Akuma or Amok is released from the yo-yo, Ladybug keeps it open and she reaches out and pulls out the residue. Yeah, I do believe that was confirmed for like Sentibubbler, because there wasn't a charm in that, because there wasn't an Akuma. What's definitely new, however, is the explanation for why Ladybug can hand out magical charms. It's because she's the guardian and Ladybug at the same time, and not because she can create whatever she wants like Rena claimed in Mr. Pigeon 72. I feel like her being the user of creation would make more sense since she can create anything. Okay. Why did Alia say that then? Oh god, I don't know. So I think this is pretty much the reason why Adrien is treated the way he is in the show. So Marinette is a Princess Charming who wants to free Adrien from the gilded cage in which his father keeps him captive. Miraculous is a true reversed fairy tale. Do they mean reverse fairy tales in terms of like gender roles, and that's usually the prince saving the princess? I guess in the most traditional fairy tales, yeah, it is like that. However, at the same time, like going off like the Disney-fied ones, I haven't seen all that many Disney fairy tales, like as in the princess films. But like, for example, in something like Cinderella, who's in not the same situation, but a similar situation to Adrien. Like, obviously Cinderella has to cook and take care of her family and stuff. Adrien doesn't. He's like pretty much allowed to do whatever he wants, as long as like he's not allowed to leave and whatever. But they are both being emotionally abused. So while in Cinderella the prince physically saves Cinderella and takes her away from that environment, Cinderella kind of mentally saves herself and stops herself from like being completely mentally torn apart. It takes so much strength for someone in a situation like that to remain so kind and sweet and lovely and not easily caving to all the abuse you've been through and becoming abusive yourself because all that you've been through. That would be the easiest thing to do. It is far harder to stay as kind and as sweet like Cinderella in a situation like that. I think it would be like, I have no problem with Marinette ultimately rescuing Adrien physically, but I mean Gabriel's gone now, but I think it would have been a much stronger message, particularly for those people who've been through emotional abuse, because emotional abuse isn't often talked about. Much stronger message if we also saw Adrien not necessarily fight back against his dad, but like mentally fight against his dad's words. You know, like, I don't care about Marinette rescuing him, great, love that for her, but Adrien kind of also in some way like mentally, emotionally needs to rescue himself. That would have been so powerful to see, and also kind of rare because that's not often something really explored, especially for children. So yeah, like, I've no problem with Marinette being the lead and stuff. It's just there were some episodes where I just kind of forget about Adrien, and like he's such a great character. I think he could be so rich in development and they just for whatever reason don't. don't go for it. He's like a literal gold mine. They're just like, we will ignore you. I'm like, okay. I think Thomas explained this before, but either way, here's a reminder that Cat Noir's power is not destruction driven, but rather luck driven. So when Cat Noir calls his power up, his ring charges up with energy, and thereafter, whatever he touches becomes a victim of a catastrophe. Examples: if he touches a car, it falls into smithereens. It's not the correct phrase, but okay. As if it were breaking up under his own touch. If he touches a wall, it collapses. I can see that since Ladybug's meant to be good luck and he's meant to be bad luck. I get that, but also at the same time, have they really shown any other way to do a cataclysm other than it just destroying something? I can't think of a time when he's like touched a wall socket and it like blows the fuse. Am I just being stupid? I feel like the vast majority of the time we see him touch something and it like gets destroyed like almost immediately. I can't think of another instance. So it's fine if it's that and it makes sense it's that, but I'm like, are we even shown it does that? I don't know. So then yet another instance of a point that wasn't done to its fullest in the show. The only time as far as I can remember they're looking for clues in the collector. So it says Ladybug and Cat Noir are always trying to find out who the big villain is. They're always looking for clues to find out who's behind the akumatized villains. I have never got that impression from the show. Like Ahmed said, it's the only time they really, like obviously the clue is that Adrian has the grimoire who like says, oh, it's from my dad or whatever. That's the only real clue they ever have, and like they obviously got pretty close like immediately, and then they just wrote it off, and I'm kind of like, I understand he got akumatized, but it's like both Adrian and Marinette, so Adrian's done it several times like in Desperada and Gorizilla, that they've managed to trick the other hero into thinking they were someone else, like Marinette did it in Kwame Buster. So if you've both done it once, then surely you could maybe think, well, if I've done it, then maybe Hawkmoth has done it. That leads like them to the conclusion that literally everyone who's been akumatized could still be Hawkmoth because he could do it to himself. I don't know why they haven't realised that yet. Like he could have done it to, like obviously Marinette's realised it now since she knows, but like why didn't you think about this before? That's definitely one thing. I'm gonna like do a deep dive into the whole plot of this season, but definitely one thing I was disappointed with is like the lack of like a progressive mystery and trying to find things out. Is that Marinette just gets told things, you know what I mean? She doesn't like organically work them out for herself using clues and stuff. So for example in episode 11 she has that fight with Monarch Daddy. She sees the rings and I was kind of hoping that would lead her to maybe theorising how they were working exactly, what method they could be transmitting by, the alliance rings, but it's just never mentioned again. So it's like, seems a little bit odd, I don't know. So here's something, if it's still true and not outdated, will change your perspective on an important aspect of the Aggressed arc and maybe the wish. And Gabriel's wish is to wake his wife, Emily, who's been in enchanted slumber for a year. Writer's note to the characters in the show, she's officially deceased. Adrian doesn't know. Yeah, Emily is missing, but actually all this time on the wiki prior to 26, she wasn't technically dead. She was still alive. She's like been in like a coma, but we still called it the murder basement with her storage fridge because that's quite obviously what it is. I wish it was officially called the murder basement, but you know, it would be if I wrote this show. I could be reading too much into this, but I feel like the whole gimmick with Gimme was going to be much deeper than what we received in the end. So because these two Miraculous can merge to give the most powerful Miraculous ever, which generates a Kwame who gives the power to make a wish. I'm not entirely sure what merge means in this particular sentence, as I noticed them using the same word to mean unify. So Gabriel decides to merge the butterfly and Peacock Miraculously turns into Shadow Teddy. But the reason I believe there was going to be more going on with Gimme is because of this. Indeed, the owner of the two most powerful jewels of the Miracle Box will be able to merge the Miraculous by reciting a magical formula from the grimoire. Yeah, Gimme Reveal Yourself isn't exactly a magical formula. I get that, but definitely the show Bible gives the impression is that when you merge the ring and the earrings, it makes a whole other piece of jewellery of which has a different Kwame, which is Gimme, and then you would have to recite a magic formula to Gimme. I don't know. It'd be really cute to see if Gimme did have like a little adorable little Kwame size instead of the full-on size. I can't decide. I keep going back and forth. I'm like, do I think those like true forms are really cool looking? Or do they creep me out? And every day I verge towards more and more of creeping me out. They creep me out. I know they're meant to be like gods, goddesses, whatever, so they probably should be big and imposing, but I'm like, you scare me. Okay. Little tiki, little plague, adorable. Big tiki, big plague, no. I'd run away screaming. Okay. No, because like tiki is literally like a massive insect. I hate insects and bugs. Literally the only bug I can stand are ladybugs. Like scared of spiders, scared of like pretty much everything, even moths. But I'm fine with ladybugs, I always have been. So, no. They scare me. So about dear old daddy's victims, what a sentence, Ahmed. There's nothing in the show Bible that explains who gets to remember what they did during their akumatization and who doesn't. It simply states that they don't. We know for certain that at least Lila did in Revelation, and it seems it's left over for plot convenience. I agree with that, because plus as well, like there's some other instances, for example, in Miracle Queen, they de-akumatized Chloe, but then she wants to go for it again. That's not direct confirmation that she knows what she did, but like some of the things she says during the course of the show makes it seem as if she was well aware. Like she even says in Revolution, I was doing the screaming session for it yesterday, I was writing the script for it, she talks about how she doesn't want to side with the baddies again, so she kind of knows she was like willingly akumatized. I feel like some of them do remember. Some of them do. Because definitely as well, oh, what episode is it? I can't remember the episode, but I'm pretty sure at the Wax Museum they have like statues of some of the Akuma villains and Lady Wi-Fi there and the Bubblers there, and like Nino feels really bad about it that they got akumatized or something like that. So I feel like some of them do have some memories, even if they don't remember everything. I feel like they remember some of it, because like Ahmed says, Lila definitely knew in Revelation what she'd done. And like, wouldn't she be a bit weirded out if she went to a lock? It's like, oh, Natalie sent me a text with all these photos. Why? She knows what she asked for. Is that maybe because she broke free from it herself, so she does remember? Like if you break free, does that like negate this and you get to remember, versus if you have to get like your object broken and then purified, you don't remember? I don't know, but I'm not sure this is quite accurate. I think they kind of leave it more open for plot convenience, like Ahmed says. So if the akumatized character refuses to agree, which entails bringing back the Miraculous, Hawkmoth can exert his telekinetic power on him or her by freezing them on the spot and using force by remotes. So he can't use his telekinetic power too often as it drains him physically. Do we know this? I'm not sure if we knew this. I mean, we know he has that power, but I never know that it exhausts him. The only time I can really remember him doing this is in Eve Illustrator with Nathaniel, because Nathaniel's like, I want to go on a date with Marinette, and Gabriel's like, don't get them Miraculous. However, there are other episodes, for example in Truth, when so obviously everyone's mission when you're akumatized is to get the jewellery. He's like, I'm gonna go find out who my dad is using the power, which it was cool and all, and I like the way it was used. But like, why didn't he use it on Luca then? Because he was going to find Jagged Stone to check if he was his dad, not like find Ladybug and Cat Noir. So to me, Evil Illustrator is the only time it was used. I wasn't aware it drained him. He never seems tired after an Akuma attack. The only time he's been tired is this season, but I always put that down to him being injured rather than the Butterfly Miraculous. I thought it was due to the Cataclysm. I don't believe I've ever really seen him be tired before, even after something like Heroes Day, which was quite taxing. I know Natalie turned him into Scarlet Moth and he got to akumatize all those people. He didn't seem tired after that, which to me would be like really taxing. I don't know. Okay then. Here's a little trivia for you. They're called mini Akumas. So she doesn't capture the Akuma, they later can multiply and create mini Akumas. So what happened in Origins, yes. I swear to God, if it turns out that people already knew this and I just made a fool out of myself, well, I didn't know it. I just thought they were normal Akumas. I thought you just had the normal Akuma size and then the mega Akumas that we got from Dearest Family onwards were the massive ones that can break the charms. I didn't know they were mini. I thought they were normal sized. In the season 3 finale, Fruit appointed Ladybugs a new guardian. The Miracle Box and the Yo-Yo consequently got reconfigured and changed in appearance. For the first time in the history of Miraculous, a holder of the Miraculous Ladybug has also become the guardian. Was this ever outright stated? I don't believe so, to be fair. I think the only other guardians we've known about, so Master Fu and like the original guardian, who, if you didn't know, so I'm pretty sure that the Kwamis came into existence first, so Tiki being first because she's a Kwami of creation, and then to able to like control their powers more and so humans could use them, this super old like mage or whatever, which is like another word for wizard, somehow attach them to jewellery so their powers could be more honed or whatever. I don't know how he did that, obviously it's not real so it doesn't really matter. But okay, no, I guess like the only other guardians we know about are those two and everyone else at the temple, like Suhan and stuff, so yeah, I guess that makes sense. That'd be cool. And here's some more trivia for you. She's not called Lady B. Yeah, I'm not calling her Bee-Bug. That is a stupid name. Her name is Lady B. I refuse, flat out refuse to call her anything else. Her name is Lady B. I will not be accepting any constructive criticism on that at this time, or ever in fact. Her name is Lady B. Thank you very much, Ahmed. For the looks of things, episode 7 Passion was going to play out a bit differently. Oh, I see. So the bodyguard, I hate the fact they call him the gorilla, it seems so like dehumanizing, was meant to be akumatized in Passion. Could he also have been an accomplice to Gabriel like Natalie was? See, I don't feel like Maurice, that's what we refer to. I know it's not even his real name, but I hate his real name, so we'll go with Maurice. I feel like out of the 3 guardians, he's the most at heart a good person. Like, I feel like Natalie is a good person, but as someone who said in the comments the other day, she just makes bad decisions sometimes, which I definitely agree with. Whereas Gabriel, he definitely becomes more and more of a bad person as the show has gone on. And definitely also makes bad decisions. And whilst Maurice is obviously bound by like his job contract and stuff, and also interestingly we found out in representation he actually worked for Colt, which is quite interesting. He is like the one who's like the most consistently there for Adrian, even though he really says nothing, just like grunts and makes other noises. He's the most there for Adrian. So whilst obviously he's been akumatized before, I definitely don't think he had a clue what Gabriel was doing. He's just following orders. I don't think he had any idea. And this never went anywhere. It looks like a discarded old concept to me. So Natalie's secret plan. Oh, okay, so for now, Natalie never acts alone because she obeys Gabriel, with whom she's secretly in love. I knew that bit. But of course she has a secret plan. Natalie wants the miraculous for herself so she can make the wish that Gabriel falls in love with her. I would have absolutely loved to have seen this in the show. Her like working with Gabriel and then betraying him at the last minute so they could be together. Oh, I wish they'd done that. It might have been a bit too complex and a bit too much possibly. I can see why they got rid of it, but oh, that's such a good idea. Oh, I wish they'd done that. Oh, I want to write a fan fiction. Shall I do that? Oh, I would love that. Oh my gosh, I would have. Oh, I'm a Gabe Nath stan. I know he's dead. I'm still a Gabe Nath shipper. I will be a Gabe Nath shipper till I'm dead, okay? Gabe Nath till the end. And then Natalie becomes Mayura. So Mayura can't use her power to its fullest because the Miraculous is damaged. We know it damages her because it's damaged, but what do they mean can't use her power to its fullest? She was able to create sentient monsters, is not that to the fullest? Yeah, I guess. I would assume this means though, since Natalie's an adult, she should be able to stay transformed for as long as she wants, I guess, until she decides to detransform. But we know when she uses it for like kind of a long time, it does like seem to make her ill. Like for example in the episode Ladybug, she's transformed and she starts coughing and has to detransform and stuff. So that's what I'm assuming it means, because it's making her ill. She can't stay transformed for that long. So whilst yeah, she gets to create sentient monsters, and obviously the sentient monster stays alive when she's not transformed, like we saw in Optogami. I get what they're saying. She can't stay transformed all the time. Nothing new here, but I thought it'd be a nice reminder to check our knowledge on sentient monsters. Oh god. A sentient monster can take on a life on its own in 3 scenarios. If Cat Noir cataclysms a sentient monster, it becomes out of control. Yes. If the link object is lost, that creature is no longer controlled by anyone, as seen in Feast. And the creature can develop a form of intelligence like a baby turning into a child or a real animal evolving. Funnily enough, there's nothing in the show Bible that outright claims Adrian, Felix or Kagami to be sentient monsters or related to the Peacock Miraculous whatsoever. Maybe some higher ups didn't approve of the idea and they had to sort of do it unofficially. Yeah, I guess, possibly. I would assume if it doesn't say that Adrian's a sentient monster anyway. I don't necessarily think that means he's not one. You all know I absolutely hate representation. I will hate it till the day I die. It's one of my least favourite episodes of the entire show. However, I think that episode confirms that all 3 of them are sentient monsters. So yeah, that's like what a lot of people say, like oh well Adrian can't be one because like he ages. Like, we know that Chloe knew him growing up, like we've seen, like, not like proper 3D models, but we've seen little drawings of them together when they were like, I don't know, like 7 years old or something. I'm not sure how old they were. Everyone's like, oh well, now he's 14, he obviously can't be a Sentimonster since he's grown. Chloe knew as a child. Yes, you're correct that he's grown up. However, Thomas has also said that if your intention when you create a Sentimonster is to create like a newborn baby who is eventually going to grow up the same way a human would when they are born as a baby, then they will, which seems to be the intention with Adrian. He was meant to be as close to human as is physically possible, which seems very possible for Sentimonsters. The same with Felix, so the same with Kagami, I would assume. So it's not really, and like I see people comment all the time, like, oh well, Adrian grew up, and I'm like, yeah, well, Sentimonsters can do that. If your intention, like if you just want a newborn baby and you want a newborn baby for the rest of your life, your intention for creating that Sentimonster would be just a newborn baby who doesn't have the ability to grow up, then it would stay as a baby, you know? If you wanted to create, for example, in Optigami, a fully fledged teenage boy immediately, like they do with the Senti Nino, that can happen. Just make a Sentimonster of Nino at that stage of life immediately. You don't have to give birth to a baby Sentimonster and wait like 13, 14 years for it to grow up to become Nino. You just make the Nino immediately, you know what I mean? It's about your intention when you make it. If you want someone who's only going to be in one stage of life, like a newborn baby, like a fully like teenage boy Nino, then that's your intention. If you want a Sentimonster who's going to gradually grow up as like other humans do, then that would be your intention, which seems to be the intention with Adrian and Felix and Kagami. This straight up contradicts Kagami being a Sentimonster though, because of what we saw in Perfection. So Mayura sends an Amok a feather, the Akuma enters an object while the Amok enters another one. Are there not other instances of an Akuma and Amok entering the same object? Is that not possible? It does kind of contradict it, and I guess Kagami has no other objects on her to do it. I don't know. I feel like this is more of just either they forgot for Perfection or this is an error. I think it's more likely they just forgot for Perfection because they wanted Tomoe to come in and scream, because obviously if Cat Noir had gone to destroy Kagami's her ring, it would have killed her because that's where the Amok is, right? So, you know, I think they might have just forgotten about this, in my opinion. Red Moon is the only Sentimonster mentioned to be created by Argos. What about the Projector? Yeah, oh, so taking into consideration what happened in representation, it sounds like episode 24 was going to be different. It should have been, because I hate it. But yeah, I think Sentimonster created by Argos is just Red Moon. Interesting. I wonder what the other plan for representation had been. I would love to have known, because no. And oh, okay, so his name is Lollipop Boy. I guess that makes sense because he is made out of lollipops. What was the point of him though? What was he for? Just to cause a distraction? I don't know. So then we have Transmission's original name. Odd as it doesn't follow the season 5 names format, which I immediately read as Hangover, not Handover. Yeah, Transmission is much better. I prefer Transmission. Although I will say I am not the best at learning names. And first of all, it was always easier with like season 4 because they got released kind of gradually. We like got 2 at a time or 3 at a time. So I like learnt them all over a couple of weeks, and then we got some more, so I learnt those. It was much easier then. Plus as well, they were all really different and all named after the Akuma villain, so I had like a visual reference. And like when someone says Queen Banana, I picture Queen Banana, Soul Crusher, her, Optigami, you know, I can visualise it. Whereas with these episodes, I'm like, I don't know, because they all end in like the same last 3 letters. I'm like, it's been so difficult memorising them all. I'm not very good with names, so it's been kind of tricky. But oh, maybe a different ending. So the fall of Monarch Daddy. After an epic fight which will make him renounce his wish and his Miraculous, Ladybug will recover the Miracle Box. She'll defeat Hawk Daddy by merging Ladybug and Cat Noir's powers. Okay, but while defeated, Gabriel will have kept her from recovering the Miraculous of the Butterfly by throwing it away. So the cliffhanger, someone will seize the Miraculous, that will be Lila, who's been found to be much more evil and manipulative than Gabriel Agreste ever was. At first you can make the argument she did make him renounce his original wish, assuming that person we saw in the end is Emily, but Gabriel didn't throw away his Miraculous, did he? I mean, no, because Ladybug knocked it off him and then it fell. I don't think he had any intention of taking it off, to be fair, until he at the very least had her Miraculous. So yeah, although Whilst Lila's definitely more manipulative, I'm not sure she's more evil. She hasn't abused a load of children yet. Arguably, I guess. I mean, she's kind of bullied people. So is that count of emotional abuse? I'm not even sure at this point. Adding into the previous point, if the finale was different and Gabriel was going to willingly throw away his Miraculous, it would have made sense for the final battle to take place on top of the Eiffel Tower, for example, because then it would be easily possible for Lila to pick it up then whenever she actually did in the finale. Yeah, I still don't get how she got her hands on it either, Ahmed. So where possible, the final battles will take place on the roof at top of one of Paris's monuments like the Eiffel Tower, Arch de Triomphe, or the Grand Palais, which makes sense. Pretty sure that's been the case for most of the other finales. However, I quite like that the final fight for season 5 was in the basement, the crypt, whatever you want to call it, because obviously it was like everything come to a head at the mansion, finding out who Gabriel was. I think it makes sense to be there rather than elsewhere. Like, it would have been really cool elsewhere, but yeah, I see what Ahmed's saying. It would make sense. It would be easier for Lila or anyone else to get the Butterfly Miraculous. Right now, I'm assuming that water in the basement leads off to somewhere else, because I'm not sure how else Lila could have got it, because it seems Marinette gets the Miraculouses straight after the wish has ended. She goes and gets them all, she transforms into Aquabug and can't find it. So unless Lila was down there, which I highly doubt because she has no way of getting down there, it seems it's gone somewhere else, in my opinion. I think that's the most logical explanation so far. If she really was down there, I'm like, okay, you weirdo. Speaking of Lila, here's some confusion for your soul. We have Mum 1, Mrs. Rossi, who is an Italian ambassador in Paris, okay, which I think is the mum who is the real mum and calls Lila Lila. Mum 2 is, I'm assuming, the one from Risk who doesn't say anything, calls her Cerise. And then Mum 3, deaf mum, who seems a bit mean to, like, I'm autistic. If it was like, oh yeah, that's my autistic mum. Like, no, call me by my name. But this mum, Lila's name is Iris. I don't, apart from, I feel like the only time she was called Cerise was that by the kids in the other class after the confrontation. Oh gosh, my knowledge is failing me. So speaking of Iris Verdi, in the season 5 two-parter finale, we discover that Lila pretends to be Iris Verdi around Mr. Damocles, who registered her for the next school year. This scene made it to the version 2 lock script of Recreation, but for some reason it was changed in the final version. Ah, okay, I see. It's not the only change that was done to the episode. We've also seen with Adrian's mum. If you didn't know, in the final script for Recreation, it said it's Adrian's mum, and when they're talking about the rings, Adrian's like, oh, my mum gave them to me, but in the episode there's no mention of Adrian's mum, so it's kind of like, oh, did they change it last minute to get us to speculate, or did they change their minds last minute and is it really Emily? I don't know. And then here's a fun little thing that will probably be used in season 6. So season 5 reveals that Lila has several families and several identities. Why could you be bothered? No, to create real fake identities for Lila, it's a flower name in French plus a colour name in Italian. God, okay, it's just too much effort, Lila. Get a different hobby that doesn't involve, like, I don't know, identity theft or something. Okay, besties, so I've been filming for about an hour and we are literally halfway through this PowerPoint, so I'm gonna end part 1 here and jump straight back on after having a drink because I can already hear my voice dying, and I will do the rest of the presentation. It's really interesting so far. I hope you're enjoying it as well if you didn't read the show Bible. So let us know what you think so far. Part 2 will be up soon and I will see you in the next one. Bye!